It's hard to have a conversation these days without AI popping up, isn't it?
Absolutely everywhere.
And while the possibilities are, well, mind-blowing, the way we actually power it still feels a bit clunky.
Yeah.
Relying on these huge centralized cloud systems.
Yeah, and they're facing some real challenges. We're talking speed issues, latency, privacy concerns are massive.
And the cost. Don't forget the cost. Always going up.
Okay, let's unpack this, because today we're diving deep into a project called EdgeX Labs.
And what's fascinating here, I think, is how EdgeX Labs is looking at these problems from a completely different angle. They're not just tweaking the cloud model.
No.
They're proposing something else entirely.
Yeah.
A decentralized edge AI infrastructure.
Yeah.
It sort of suggests a future where AI processing isn't stuck in those massive data centers.
Exactly. We've got their white paper, some project overviews here, basically the core materials to analyze. And they really lay out what they're building.
Right.
So we're going to look at their core technology, the team, how their EdgeX token works, the economics of it all, who they're partnering with, their roadmap, and the hurdles, the challenges they see ahead.
Right. Our mission today really is to understand and evaluate how EdgeX Labs aims to shake up edge computing for both AI and, the broader Web3 space.
So let's start with the fundamental question then. What exactly is EdgeX Labs when you boil it down?
Think of it as a global network, but instead of centralized servers, it's distributed computing power. Specifically designed, it seems, to provide a stable and secure foundation for AI projects.
And those AI agents we keep hearing about.
Yes, exactly. The term you'll see thrown around a lot is DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure networks.
Right.
So imagine like the internet not just having websites, but also this distributed network of mini data centers, maybe in people's homes, offices, all working together.
And EdgeX empowers users to contribute their own device resources to this network.
That's the idea. Contribute resources, and in return, you earn their native token, EdgeX.
Their mission statement is quite revealing too. Something like, EdgeX connect all-world personal AI agent for everyone, decentralized, fast security.
It's ambitious, definitely. A lot packed in there.
But the sources suggest they've seen some pretty impressive early adoption, right? On their testnet.
Absolutely. Apparently, since being founded in 2024 by Davey and Harlan, they've onboarded over 21 million devices and users.
Wow, 21 million. That's significant growth in a short time.
It really is, and it highlights the interest in this decentralized approach. It's such a stark contrast to those traditional cloud AI models where everything is locked away in these huge server farms.
And those centralized models, like you said at the start, they have inherent limitations. Latency.
The delay. Yeah.
Those frustrating delays, exactly. They can be a major bottleneck, especially for real-time AI applications.
And privacy. That's a huge one for people sending sensitive data off somewhere else.
To be processed on remote servers, yeah, it's a big concern. And the costs maintaining those massive cloud infrastructures, it's substantial and it keeps rising.
Right. And here's where things get really interesting from an analysis perspective. EdgeX is looking to change that. They want to integrate AI agent functionality directly onto these edge devices.
So processing closer to the source.
Exactly. By processing data and running AI models nearer to where the data is actually generated, they think they can significantly cut down on latency and, crucially, improve privacy. Your information isn't necessarily flying off to some distant data center.
Which suggests, I suppose, a future where personalized AI experiences aren't totally reliant on the big cloud companies, maybe more individual AI sovereignty.
That seems to be the goal.
And the open source modular design they mentioned, that sounds pretty important too.
Yeah, definitely. This isn't some proprietary lockdown system they're building.
Yeah.
By making it modular and open.
They're inviting others in.
Right. Encouraging third-party developers to build on their platform, create new apps, expand the whole ecosystem. It's a classic Web3 playbook move, really.
Okay, so we understand the what and the why behind EdgeX. The concept makes sense. Now let's get into the how, the actual technology, the hardware that makes this decentralized edge thing possible.
This is key for our evaluation. What's under the hood?
Well, EdgeX isn't just relying on standard off-the-shelf components from what we've read. They seem to have developed specialized, bespoke hardware.
Right, tailored for their needs.
Exactly. We see mentions of two key pieces, the XR7 AI dual gateway and the 40-sec edge server.
Okay, let's start with the XR7. This is described as a modular proof-of-work node. And it sounds, well, pretty packed with tech.
What kind of specs are we talking?
It includes an AI neural processing unit, an NPU, so think of that as a dedicated chip just for crunching AI numbers. much faster and more efficiently than a regular CPU.
Right, optimized for AI tasks.
Yeah. Plus an ARM, 8-core CPU, 16 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. And notably, it's designed to support fine-tuning of the Llama 3.2 large language model.
Okay, Llama 3.2 support is interesting. That opens up possibilities.
For sure. Personalized chatbots, voice assistants, smarter IoT devices, lots of potential applications. And the pre-sale for this apparently started back in January 2025, so it sounds like it's moving towards wider availability.
Okay, and then there's the other one, the 40 sock Edge server.
Yeah, this one's interesting because it seems to combine both proof of stake and proof of work mechanisms. A hybrid.
A hybrid node, how does that work?
Well, it uses Qualcomm AI computing, and it boasts over 1.6 peta operations per second. That's POPS.
1.6 POPS. That's serious AI processing muscle. Huge power for complex models.
Definitely. While apparently also being energy efficient, which is a key consideration these days.
True. And what's the status on this one?
For the 40 SoC, currently only the proof of stake node sale is ongoing, so maybe a staged rollout.
Got it. So these aren't just standard computers people have lying around. This specialized hardware is really the core enabling AI processing right there at the edge.
Yeah, that seems to be the foundation of their whole approach. And the advantages, as we discussed, seem clear. Eliminates that constant need to send data back and forth to a central cloud.
Leading to those super fast response times. They mention under 50 milliseconds.
That's what they claim, yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be critical for things like smart cities, industrial IoT, anything needing immediate feedback.
But it's not just about the physical boxes, right? The sources also highlight their software stack.
True. You need the software to make the hardware useful.
Exactly. They mention things like containerized environments, which makes deploying applications easier, strong security protocols, which are obviously vital.
Crucial in a decentralized network.
Network acceleration tech like open roaming, and even mentions associated Roman tokens. Plus, optimized storage solutions for handling data efficiently at the edge.
Right, so it's presented as a comprehensive system. Hardware and software working together to try and make decentralized edge AI a reality.
Okay, so this intricate hardware and software foundation, it needs fuel, right? An economic incentive. And that's where the EdgeX token comes in. This seems to be the engine driving their decentralized economy.
Let's analyze these tokenomics then.
Yeah, the EdgeX token is absolutely central to their economic model, based on the documentation. It's the primary way they incentivize participation and helps secure the network. It's the reward mechanism.
So how do users actually earn these tokens? Our sources suggest a couple of main ways.
Okay.
If you're running one of those XR7 miners, you're essentially doing computational mining, contributing processing power. That's the proof of work side.
And the 40 sauce servers.
With those, you can earn rewards through staking your tokens, which helps validate the network. That's the proof of stake element we mentioned.
Got it. POW for compute, POS for validation and staking. And how are the tokens distributed? Is it just rewards?
No, it seems more planned out. A portion is allocated as rewards for miners and stakers, obviously, to encourage network growth.
Makes sense.
They also have funds set aside for ecosystem development grants, trying to incentivize developers to actually build things on EdgeX.
Smart move. Attracting developers is key.
And there's a governance treasury, which holders can influence. But what's really interesting from an economic design perspective is the deflationary aspect.
Ah, yes. The token burn.
Right. Apparently, a small fee from each on-chain AI inference every time someone uses the network for AI processing is actually burned, destroyed.
Which reduces the total supply of EdgeX over time. That could create upward pressure on the price, assuming network usage grows. A strong incentive for long-term holders.
It's a clever mechanism, definitely something to watch in evaluating its long-term potential.
Oh.
And speaking of holders, you mentioned governance. EdgeX holders aren't just passive investors.
Apparently not. They get a say in the project's future, voting on things like protocol upgrades, how those treasury funds are used, maybe potential new partnerships.
And staking your EdgeX, besides securing the network, also generates additional rewards for the holder.
That's the standard POS model, yes, staking yields. But beyond just powering the infrastructure, the EdgeX token is also designed, it seems, to have utility within EdgeX's own modular DeFi system.
Ah, okay. So building an ecosystem around the token.
Potentially. Using it as a medium of exchange for trading, lending, insurance, other DeFi activities within their ecosystem. This multifaceted utility is often key for the long-term health and demand for a native token.
It definitely sounds like they've put a lot of thought into the long-term viability, trying to balance those initial rewards for contributors,
The inflationary part.
right, with mechanisms like the burn that could increase value over time as the network grows. They even talk about dynamic adjustments.
To mining difficulty and token burns, adjustable via governance.
Yeah, which gives them flexibility to respond to market conditions, which is probably necessary.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the whole DePIN sector, decentralized physical infrastructure, it is showing significant growth potential.
It's definitely a hot area in Web3 right now.
Yeah. And having backing from Rise Labs, which is mentioned, that adds a layer of credibility. EdgeX seems positioned to try and tap into this market.
Offering value for both resource providers and the AI projects using the infrastructure.
Okay, absolutely crucial for any project's success, especially in Web3, is collaboration. Who are they working with? Let's explore EdgeX Labs' strategic partnerships.
Yeah, and analyzing these partnerships really highlights the sheer range of applications that EdgeX's technology could potentially enable. It's not just one niche.
Seems quite broad.
It really is. Collaborations across various sectors, which demonstrates the versatility of their low-latency edge compute concept. What's insightful here, I think, is this diversity. It signals maybe a potential paradigm shift where edge AI isn't just niche, but a fundamental building block for finance, entertainment, science.
Okay, let's run through a few key ones mentioned. Unilin Finance, that sounds interesting.
DeFi focus there.
Right. They're apparently working together to create on-chain AI agents specifically for DeFi. Things like automated trading bots, smarter lending protocols. Then there's Iron Chain Bank. The focus there seems to be integrating Bitcoin Layer 2 solutions for secure, AI-driven financial services.
Like risk analysis, KYC/ML compliance, using AI for that.
Exactly. Alpacamoni X is another intriguing one, leveraging EdgeX for low-latency arbitrage bots.
The speed is everything in arbitrage.
Absolutely. And price oracles within DeFi, particularly noted on the TON ecosystem, that kind of speed, that sub 50 meters response time they aim for, is critical there.
Okay, moving beyond pure finance, Gen Pharma Chain.
Yeah, this one looks at distributing bioinformatics workloads, complex biological data analysis for drug discovery using EdgeX's network.
With a strong emphasis on data privacy, which is obviously paramount in healthcare.
Definitely. And for the gamers out there, Kingdom X Game,
What are they doing?
exploring how EdgeX can power more dynamic, more responsive AI-driven NPCs, non-player characters within on-chain games, all running on edge devices, not centralized servers.
Making the game world feel more alive, potentially.
That seems to be the idea. Finally, Fireverse V. This one is tapping into EdgeX for the Web3 music space.
How so?
Interactive music recommendations, royalty analytics, using AI at the edge to maybe personalize music experiences and ensure fairer compensation for artists.
Wow, okay, so finance, health, gaming, music. What's striking when you analyze this list is that these don't sound like just superficial MOUs. They seem to represent actual integrations of EdgeX tech into diverse applications.
Yeah, it demonstrates potential across a wide spectrum. It strongly suggests EdgeX's ambition to be a foundational infrastructure layer for Web3, not just a single-use product.
Okay, so they've got the tech concept, the tokens, the partners. What about their plans, the execution? Let's take a look at their roadmap and the key milestones in our evaluation.
Right, the roadmap. It appears quite detailed, and importantly, it follows a phased approach, which, from an analytical standpoint is generally a good sign for managing risk. You don't try to boil the ocean immediately.
Sensible. And according to our sources, they've already tipped off some significant milestones.
What have they achieved so far?
Back in August 2024, they launched their mainnet web platform. So, user registration, wallet management, network stats, the basics.
Getting the core platform out.
Yeah. September saw the release of mobile apps, iOS and Android, making it more accessible.
Good for user onboarding.
And in October, they launched EdgeX A-Pool, that's their staking platform, and started global roadshows, presumably to build community and awareness.
Okay, busy latter half of 2024. What about Q4?
Q4 2024 was apparently focused on ecosystem expansion, introducing those DeFi, storage, and gaming modules we talked about, plus software development kits, SDKs for developers.
Crucial for building out the ecosystem.
And the partnerships with Unilend and Iron Chain Bank also seem to have solidified during that period.
Right. So looking ahead now, what's next on the docket?
Q1 of 2025 looks like a big one. They're planning the release of their own Layer 1 blockchain.
Their own L1. Interesting.
Yeah. This is slated to bring on-chain governance, native token staking, and smart contract support specifically designed, they say, for AI modules.
That's a major step up in infrastructure complexity and capability. And Q2.
Their ambition for Q2 2025 is quite bold. targeting becoming a top 3 decentralized derivatives platform.
Wow, okay. High aims.
Definitely ambitious. And beyond that, sort of longer term, their roadmap includes an AI agent marketplace.
Ah, that could be a real game changer. A place to easily find and deploy AI agents.
Potentially. They're also planning cross-chain bridges, connecting EdgeX to other major blockchains, and exploring enterprise-level offerings for businesses.
This phased approach really does seem strategic. Building incrementally, managing risks.
It shows a clear long-term vision, doesn't it? Moving from the foundational infrastructure towards more sophisticated applications and integrations.
Absolutely. But of course, no deep dive, no proper analysis is complete without looking at the potential challenges, right? Any ambitious project like this is bound to encounter hurdles.
True. What are the potential roadblocks identified for EdgeX Labs? And crucially, how are they planning to address them? This is key for evaluating risk.
The sources do identify several key challenges and, importantly, outline their proposed solutions. It indicates at least a proactive approach, not burying their heads in the sand.
Okay, like hardware adoption must be one, right?
Definitely. Getting those specialized XR7 and 40 SoC units into users' hands at scale, that's a significant logistical undertaking for any hardware project.
So how do they plan to tackle that? Just sell them online?
They mentioned partnerships with hardware manufacturers, which makes sense for production, and interestingly, potential pilot programs with telcos, telecommunications companies.
Ah, okay. Using existing distribution channels, potentially. But still, if adoption relies on users buying specialized hardware, what are the barriers? Is it accessible for the average user? That seems like a key question in the evaluation.
That's a fair point, the accessibility angle, another challenge. Regulatory complexity.
Always a big one in crypto and AI.
Especially when you combine decentralized systems, AI, and potentially sensitive data. EdgeX says they're working with legal advisors in different regions and aiming to embed compliance parameters directly into their software.
Trying to build compliance in. Network security must be another huge concern.
Paramount in a decentralized system with potentially millions of devices, ensuring the network isn't vulnerable to attack is critical.
So what's their strategy there?
Their hybrid PoW-POS consensus is part of it, plus something called remote hardware attestation.
Attestation, what's that?
Basically, a way for the network to verify that the hardware connecting and contributing power is legitimate and hasn't been tampered with. It's a security measure.
Okay, adds a layer of trust. What else? Developer engagement.
Essential for long-term success, as we said. They need people building on EdgeX. Their plan involves those SDKs, revenue-sharing models to incentivize developers, grant programs.
And showcasing early integrations with popular AI frameworks like TensorFlow Lite and PyTorch Mobile, trying to make it easy for AI devs to jump in.
Right. They also acknowledge the competition. It's not just the big cloud providers like AWS or Google Cloud.
But other Depine projects too, right?
Yeah.
In the AI space specifically.
Exactly. Their strategy seems to be emphasizing their decentralization, the community focus, the token incentives, and leveraging those strategic partnerships as differentiators.
Makes sense. Play to your strengths.
Finally, there's the challenge of sustaining the value of the EdgeX token itself. That's an ongoing balancing act for any crypto project.
How do they plan to manage that beyond the burn mechanism?
They're relying on those dynamic adjustment mechanisms we mentioned, tweaking mining difficulty burn rates, potentially via on-chain governance to respond to market conditions and try to balance inflation from rewards with deflation from burns.
But could that deflationary aspect, the burn fee, potentially disincentivize early usage if fees get too high? That's another point for evaluation.
It's a potential trade-off they'll need to manage carefully through governance, absolutely. But overall, it seems like they're approaching these potential roadblocks with a degree of foresight.
Which is encouraging when you're trying to analyze the project's potential viability.
Absolutely. Acknowledging challenges and having concrete strategies, even if they need refinement, is crucial for long-term sustainability and, well, a positive evaluation.
Okay, so to summarize our deep dive, our analysis of EdgeX Labs, what's the core value proposition we've really uncovered here?
I think the fundamental value proposition, boiling it down, is that EdgeX Labs is aiming to democratize access to AI computing power. They want to do this by building a decentralized infrastructure that's driven by its community.
Bringing AI compute closer to the edge.
Exactly, closer to the user, closer to the data source, moving away from total reliance on those centralized giants.
And the key strengths that stand out in our analysis today are, well, their innovative, purpose-built hardware.
A robust tokenomics system, seemingly well thought out, designed to incentivize participation and usage.
A growing network of strategic partnerships that suggest real-world applications and validation.
And a clear, phased roadmap outlining some pretty ambitious plans for the future.
Considering all these elements together, EdgeX Labs presents, I think, a compelling approach. A serious contender in the decentralized edge AI infrastructure space, with significant potential, particularly within the evolving Web3 landscape.
Agreed. It's definitely one to watch.
So here's a final thought for you, our listeners, to consider as we wrap up this analysis. How might this whole idea of decentralized edge AI infrastructure fundamentally change things? Not just the Web3 space, but maybe the everyday applications and industries you interact with.
Yeah, think about the implications. Processing power moving closer to the source of data, closer to the user.
It's a potentially profound shift in how we think about computing data and intelligence itself, something to definitely mull over.